Welcome to this demonstration of SmartGuide Designer, the tool designed to help business people create guided web applications. In this demonstration, we're going to build a web application that collects data from an end user, use that information to query a public web service, create a schema-compliant XML stream with the data, and populate an existing PDF form. We'll do this by writing exactly 0 lines of code using SmartGuide Designer. The first thing we want to do after logging into SmartGuide Designer is to define the SmartLit properties. We click on the Action button, select Add SmartLit, give the SmartLit a name, specify a code for the SmartLit as well, and click on the Create button. SmartGuide automatically creates the first page. You have the preview pane on the left and a list of elements that you can place on it on the right side. For instance, you can add a text field, password, drop-down lists, static text. You can allow people to upload files. And you also have an element called Embedded SmartLit, which allows you to create an application and then reuse that across any number of other applications. In addition to creating elements from scratch, you can define your own library fields and reuse them any number of times. To add elements to our SmartLit page, we can either double-click or drag them onto the page. Let's now create a text field which will serve to collect the user's zip code. Once the field's been added to the page, we can define a large number of properties. We'll start by providing the field name, zip code, and also the field label which will be presented to the end user. One of SmartGuide's useful features is the ability to add contextual help to a field. Here we'll provide a simple tooltip explaining the zip code format we're expecting. We'll also validate the field to make sure the data we're collecting conforms to our expectations. We'll start by making sure the end user provides a zip code. We'll then choose among SmartGuide's predefined formats to make sure we're collecting a Canadian zip code. The list of formats can be edited at will, and other validations, such as checking for minimum and maximum lengths, are also one-click affairs. Let's now close this window and have a look at what we've built so far. Under the Action button, we'll select the View Current Page option. Our work in progress is now shown using the assigned theme and template. This is a preview of how the application will look like to the end user. Let's go back to SmartGuide Designer and add a page to our contact information SmartLit. We'll name this page Page 2 and display the title Address when this page is shown. Just like we did when creating the first page, we'll import library fields that were previously defined. As you can see, this saves us a lot of time when building our SmartLit pages. Let's now make our SmartLit more dynamic by creating a page that will be shown only under certain conditions. This will be page 3, and it will be shown only to end users located outside of the province of Quebec. Again, we'll reuse library fields that were previously defined to build this page. In this case, we'll place all the fields from the Address Canada group. Let's now add a fourth and final page, which will serve to display a personalized message along with a recap of all the data the end user has entered. To create the personalized message, we're going to add a static text field to the page and edit its properties. We'll call this field Message and remove the default label. We'll then access the Value tab since we want to insert data the end user provided into our message. We can type some text in the editor and mix in some dynamic values by simply choosing the field which we want to incorporate into the value. We can also do something to the data we've collected before it's displayed to the end user. In this example, we're going to use one of the string functions to display the last name in uppercase. Right after our function, we'll complete our personalized message by asking end users to review the information they've provided. We'll then check the dynamic value box to make sure this value is recalculated in the event the user makes a correction to their name. To display the relevant data recap, we can take advantage of this unique element provided by SmartGuide Designer. We've now defined all of our SmartLit elements, and we can see our application consists of 4 pages with a linear navigation scheme. What we want to do now is to edit the navigation rules of our first page and conditionally branch to the second page. The first condition we'll add is based on the value of the zip code found on page 1. We'll check to see whether it starts with the letter H. We'll then add a second condition, also based on the value provided for the zip code on page 1. For this condition, we'll check whether the zip code starts with the letter J. Since we want to branch to page 2, if either one of our conditions is true, we'll simply replace AND with OR. We also want to provide a fallback destination page in case neither condition is met. If that happens, we'll branch to page 3. After saving our changes, we can see that the page flow is updated to reflect our new navigation structure. Let's now see how SmartGuide can easily integrate with external systems and services. For our contact information Smartlet, we're going to connect to an address verification service. When we choose to connect to an existing web service, all we need to do is to provide a user-friendly name along with the location of the web service description file or the WSDL. SmartGuide will then automatically extract all the functions, inputs, and outputs this service provides. Let's just have a quick look around to make sure the web service is running smoothly before we add it to our Smartlet. Under the Test tab, we find the list of operations and inputs, in this case, postal code. If we enter a value and click the Test button, the service results are displayed in the preview pane as we can see here. Now that we know everything is working, let's go back to our Smartlet and add the connection. Under the Services tab, we simply click the Add a Service Call button, select the connection we just created, and select the operation we wish to use. The next step is to map the Smartlet fields with the web service inputs and outputs. We'll just edit the service call, select the postal code service input, and map that to the zip code the end user will provide on page 1. Let's now do the same with the service results in order to pre-populate some Smartlet fields. We first choose the Smartlet field we wish to map and bring up the dynamic value menu, which now contains the list of service outputs. Let's go ahead and do a couple more mappings so the end user won't have to manually enter their street name and city. Right now we're doing the mappings manually, but SmartGuide has a functionality that allows automatically mapping fields when they have matching names, as we'll see a bit later in this demonstration. Let's finish up by mapping the Smartlet city field with the city service return. Now that our mappings are set, all that's left is to define where and when we're going to call this web service. There are a couple of ways we can do this in SmartGuide Designer. In this instance, what we're going to do is make the service call when we're branching to page 2. Let's now have a look at other things we can do with the data we've collected. Let's say we have an existing PDF form or an external system we want to integrate with. One way of doing this is by uploading an XML schema that defines a data structure. By mapping our Smartlet fields to the schema, we're in effect creating a fully compliant XML stream. We can also use the same data we've collected to pre-fill PDF forms. This way we can present the data in a pixel-perfect format while making data entry a much more user-friendly process. As a final step, let's now create a couple of buttons that will allow us to generate these XML and PDF files. The first button we'll call XML button. This will allow us to generate the XML stream. So we'll simply give it a label of View XML. This will be presented to the end user. You'll notice there's a new Actions tab, and we'll choose to generate an XML file based on the schema we've just uploaded. We'll repeat these steps of defining the button properties and action for the PDF file. We'll name this button PDF BTN and display the label View PDF to the end user. We'll then select the Generate a PDF file action and select the file we want to pre-fill, which is the one we've just uploaded. Okay, so we're now done building our Smartlet. We've created 4 pages, connected to a web service, mapped to an XSD file and to a PDF form. Let's now test our application to make sure everything is working as expected. Let's go through the Smartlet as if we were an end user ourselves. We just provide some sample data, enter the zip code, there's our tooltip we provided, and if I enter this zip code here, it starts with the letter K, so normally I should end up on page 3, which is the address outside of Quebec. Now if I go back to the previous page, change that zip code, and use one of the values which I know is from the province of Quebec, I should end up on page 2, that's right, with the values pre-populated. When I move to the next page, I arrive on the data recap, which has our functions that we've set, and also the View XML button. We see our data conforms exactly to the schema, and we also have the ability to view the PDF, now pre-filled with the same data. That concludes this demonstration of SmartGuide Designer. For more information and demos, please visit our website at alfinat.com.